All right, we're going to add and subtract polynomials. So remember when we're combining polynomial expressions by adding or subtracting, you need to put your final answer in order from largest degree to smallest degree. So remember the largest degree would be the term with the largest exponent. Smallest degree would be the one with the smallest exponent on the variable. So if it doesn't have a variable, if it's just a number, the degree would be 0. So that would be the smallest degree. All right, so we're going to add 2x squared plus 4x cubed plus 3x squared plus 5x cubed. So remember, you can only add if they're like terms. So they have to have the same exponent for the variables. So I can combine 2x squared plus 3x squared. So I'm going to just put these together. 2x squared, in between we have plus 3x squared. And to that I'm going to add, I have a positive 4x cubed. And again, I didn't include that plus in front of it, but I should have. Plus 5x cubed. So now I'm just going to add. Remember, you're just adding the coefficients, the numbers multiplied by the variables. So we're talking about the x squared terms. We have 2 plus 3 gives us 5x squared. Plus, now we're going to look at our x cubed terms. We have 4 plus 5 is 9x cubed. But again, as I said, to write your answer, we have to have the largest degree first. So this is positive because it's plus. So 9x cubed, and positive 5x squared means plus 5x squared. Okay, so that's how you write your answer. So we're just going to try another one that's a little more complex. So we have to make sure we're looking at the like terms. So here we have a 5 plus negative 9. And again, I have to pay attention to the operation between. All right, here I have a negative 2x. I'm going to put plus in between because you're adding together these terms. Even if there's a negative, I can put plus negative 2x. So plus, here we have negative 2x, and here we have a plus a positive 7x. All right, then we have, I use a different color just so I can separate them. We have this positive x squared, so plus x squared, plus, here we have a negative 4x squared. Okay, here we have plus a positive 5x cubed, plus in between. Here is a positive 2x cubed. And I just wrote it out so that I can make sure I have those like terms together, and I can also check the signs before I combine them. So 5 plus negative 9 is negative 4. Plus negative 2x plus 7x is 5x, because negative 2 plus 7 is 5, and we're talking about x's. Plus, now we have our x squared. Remember, if you have just x squared, there's actually 1x squared there. So 1 plus negative 4 is negative 3, so we have negative 3x squared. Plus x cubed, we have 5 plus 2 gives us 7x cubed. So rewrite with the largest degree first. So we have a positive 7x cubed. Here we have a negative 3x squared. So I'm just going to write it as minus 3x squared. Positive 5x, so plus 5x. Negative 4, which I can write as minus 4. And again, that number doesn't have a variable with an exponent, so its degree is 0. So that one has the smallest degree. All right. Okay, so this one's a little different because it does have subtraction in between. So make sure you pay attention to that minus in between. So let's start with our x cubed terms. So we have 3x cubed minus, what's in this parenthesis? 2x cubed. Plus, here we have a positive 6x squared minus, let's look for our x squared term, positive, whoops, that one should be boxed, 3x squared plus, here we have a positive 9 minus negative 6. That's where you have to be very careful. You have to remember that minus one in between because we're combining this polynomial with this one, and we have, for like terms, 9 minus the negative 6. Remember, minus a negative changes to plus a positive. So x cubed terms, we have 3 minus 2 leaves us with 1x cubed, or we can just write x cubed, plus 6x squared minus 3x squared. 6 minus 3 is 3x squared. And we have plus 9 plus 6 is 15, and it is in the correct order of degree. All right, this one's a little more complex because you're combining 3 polynomials. Right, here we're adding, here we're subtracting. Okay, so I have, let's start with the x to the 5th term. So 2x to the 5th plus 4x to the 5th minus 3x to the 5th. And make sure you're really paying attention to those operations in front of the parenthesis. You have to include them. Plus, right, we're going to look at our x squared terms, paying attention to if there's plus or minus in front of them. Right, we have a 7x squared plus positive 3x squared minus positive 5x squared. Right, now just combining the coefficients because we're talking about x to the 5th term. So 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 minus 3 is 3x to the 5th. Plus, now we're going to do x squared. 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 minus 5 is 5, and it is x squared. All right. I'm going to give you guys a few problems, 4 problems for you to do. I'm going to just zoom in a little, or out, so you can see all of them. Come back when you're ready for the answers, and I will go through them with you. All right. Okay, first one. We have 9x squared plus 6x squared. Here we have 2x plus negative 8x. We're going to add. Here we have a negative 1 plus 7. All right, x squared terms, 9 plus 6, 15x squared, plus, but I do see that this is actually going to be negative, so I'm not going to put my plus yet. You can, and just simplify your final answer. 2x plus negative 8x. 2 plus negative 8 is negative 6, so negative 6x plus negative 1 plus 7 is 6, and it is in the correct order for exponents. All right, second one. All right, we have 5x plus negative 4x. Some of you can do this in your head. So 5x plus negative 4x gives us 1x or x. Negative 2x squared plus 3x squared. Negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1x squared, so plus x squared. Then we have our 8x cubed plus negative 3x cubed. 8 plus negative 3 is 5, so plus 5, and it's x cubed. Put it in the correct order. Largest exponent goes first, so 3x cubed plus x squared plus x. All right. So if you need to write it out like this, go ahead and write it out like that. I was just skipping that step because I know some people can do it in their head. All right. We have x to the 4th. Ooh, pay attention, we have a minus there. 2x to the 4th. So 4 minus 2 is 2, and it's x to the 4th. Here we have a positive x squared, which is 1x squared, minus 5x squared. So 1 minus 5 is negative 4, and we're talking about x squared terms. Here we have are positive 4 minus negative 3. Well, when you have a minus a negative, it's plus a positive. So 4 plus 3 gives us plus 7. And if you need to write it out so you can see it, we had a 4 minus negative 3, change it to plus a positive. Okay, if that helps you with how I got the 7. All right, last one. We have 3x cubed minus 4x cubed minus 2x cubed. So 3 minus 4, negative 1. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3x cubed. All right, now we have x squared. That's a negative 2x squared minus 1x squared minus negative 7x squared. So I have, for my x squared terms, I have negative 2 minus 1 minus negative 7. So minus and negative changes to plus the positive. I'm just showing you another way you can do it where you can just write out the coefficients and combine them. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 7 leaves us with 4. So we have a positive 4, and we're talking about the x squared term. So positive plus 4x squared. Again, you can do it just like I did on the other side, but I'm showing you how to do more of it without writing out so many steps. So if it helps you to write out the steps, go ahead and continue doing that.